Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the world of Marvel Rivals and talking about the characters that make this game so exciting. Whether you're into melee assassins, long-range snipers, unkillable tanks, or reliable healers who keep your team in the fight, this game has a hero for every playstyle. Heroes in Marvel Rivals are divided into three main classes: Vanguard, Duelist, and Strategist, each offering something different. Think of it like Overwatch with tanks, damage, and support roles. But here's the thing, not every hero is made equal. Some are absolute powerhouses in the right hands, while others shine only in specific situations or when countering certain characters. So, how do you know which ones to pick? Well, that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. We'll be breaking down the best characters in the current meta after the recent Season 1.5 updates and the March 13 patch. The game is constantly evolving, and knowing which heroes give you the edge can make a huge difference in your matches. Whether you're a casual player or aiming for those high-tier rankings, this tier list will give you the lowdown on who's hot and who's not. So, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking characters in Marvel Rivals. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Iron Fist, Mr. Fantastic, and Scarlet Witch. Alright, let's dive into some of the Marvel Rivals heroes that are really struggling in the current meta, and trust me, we've got some real head scratchers here. We're talking about the characters who've just missed the mark in terms of power and impact. If you're considering these picks, maybe think twice or be prepared for a bit of a rough ride. First up, let's talk about Iron Fist. Oh boy, this guy has had a real identity crisis, hasn't he? In the last patch, Natisse tried to rework him into more of a tank buster, giving him damage scaling based on the enemy's max health. They even threw in a little HP buff to make him a bit more survivable. But here's the thing, his playstyle is still super telegraphed. You can see his engagements coming a mile away, and if you've got some solid supports, it's just too easy to shut him down. He just doesn't have the frontline presence that you need to go toe-to-toe with real tanky vanguards. It's kind of like they tried to turn a sports car into an off-road vehicle. Not really working, is it? Iron Fist is still one for the specialists who know his quirks inside and out. Next up, Mr. Fantastic. Oh, this one's a toughie. When he dropped, he was marketed as this hybrid of a Vanguard and a Duelist. And that sounded pretty cool on paper, but here's the reality. He's neither great as a Vanguard nor as a Duelist. He's got some survivability, sure, but not enough to be on par with the real heavy hitters in the Vanguard class. And when you compare him to other Duelists, well, he just lacks the punch. His damage output isn't even close to being competitive, and at the end of the day, picking him feels like you're settling for a watered down version of both roles. Honestly, he's fallen hard, from a niche pick to one of the weakest in the game right now. You'll probably want to pass on him unless you're feeling really adventurous. Now let's chat about Scarlet Witch. The Queen of Chaos. Well, sort of. Look, she's great at lower elo levels where people aren't as quick to dodge, but once you hit Diamond and above, she becomes a bit of a liability. The issue is, she doesn't really have the neutral firepower that most duelists bring to the table. Her primary fire can feel a little underwhelming, and her ultimate is just too easy to avoid unless she's got a Doctor Strange pulling some serious magic tricks to set it up. But here's the catch, Season 2's balance changes are on the horizon, and those adjustments could breathe some life into her. They're buffing her damage, improving her movement speed during the ultimate, and giving her a shiny new team up. Fingers crossed those buffs make her a bit more reliable, but for now she's best left to the lower ranks. Iron Fist still feels like he's stuck in that awkward phase where he doesn't quite know what he's supposed to be. Is he a tank buster? A flanker? The micro rework just didn't do him justice. And let's be real, trying to rely on a hero with predictable engagements when there are so many other mobile and powerful options out there. It's a tough sell. Moving on to Mr. Fantastic, it's like they tried to hit two birds with one stone and instead they missed both. His identity as a hybrid Vanguard/Duelist really just doesn't hold up. Sure, he can survive a bit, but he just doesn't excel in either role enough to make him a top tier choice. His niche has become so narrow that it's hard to recommend him unless you're absolutely in love with the stretchy hero gimmick and don't mind being outclassed by other characters in almost every situation. Now, back to Scarlet Witch. It's like they gave her all the pieces to be a powerhouse, but she's just not quite there yet. Sure, she's great for catching people off guard in the lower ranks, but once you reach higher levels of play, her weaknesses start to show. Her primary fire doesn't pack enough punch, and her ultimate is easy to avoid, making her feel a little lackluster against the higher tier opponents. Hopefully those changes in Season 2 will put her back on the map, but for now, she's more of a maybe later pick. In the end, these characters just aren't cutting it right now, and if you're serious about climbing, you might want to steer clear of them for the time being. Each one has potential, sure, but they all need some pretty hefty buffs to become viable options in the current meta, so if you're planning your next match, maybe give these guys a skip, or be prepared for a more challenging journey. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Penny Parker, Black Panther, Black Widow, Human Torch, and Moon Knight. Alright folks, let's dive into some of the characters that are sitting pretty in the C tier in Marvel Rivals. Now, I know C tier might not sound like a glamorous place to be, but hey, it's not the worst either. These characters are hanging on by a thread, but they've got a few tricks up their sleeves that could surprise you. So, grab your favorite snack and let's get into it. First up, we've got Penny Parker. Now, despite her recent buffs, shout out to that Armor Expulsion team up, she's still pretty rough around the edges. I mean, come on, her ultimate is about as useful as a wet noodle in a fight, and most of her abilities are straight up outclassed by other tanks. Sure, she might shine in lower elo lobbies, where her mines can actually get some solid value, but in higher tier matches, not so much. At least, with the upcoming Season 2 patch, she'll be getting a nice HP boost and a better primary fire, so there's hope yet. Maybe one day she'll break free from C tier, but today, not so much. Next, let's talk about Black Panther. Poor Panther hasn't been the same since the Season 1 nerfs, and it's like he's still recovering from the damage. The triple support meta is absolutely brutal for him, and it's super hard to pick off those healing characters now. You've got other divers like Spider-Man and Psylocke who just offer so much more, making it tough for Black Panther to find his footing. He's still a solid pick, don't get me wrong, but he's not exactly making waves right now. And then there's Black Widow. Oh, Black Widow. The community has been all over the place with her, but it seems she's found a little bit of a niche in C tier. It's true that her performance is still highly dependent on your aim, and she's still squishy as heck, but at least she's got a few things going for her now. Her magazine size has doubled, and her ultimate is looking better than before. If you can find those long sightlines and you're not getting dived on by every other hero, she can actually hold her own. But let's be real, she's still got a lot to work through in higher elo lobbies. Moving on to Human Torch. Look, I love the guy, but he's kind of in the meh category right now. Star-Lord, Iron Man, and Storm are all just way better flyers, and it's not even close. Sure, Human Torch got a few damage buffs, but it feels like the guy's just not cutting it, especially when you've got counters like Hela dominating the meta. It's hard to recommend him when there are just so many better options out there, but if you're a fan of the fiery hero, he can still make a splash in the right hands. Let's talk about Moon Knight for a second. Now, this one is a bit of a roller coaster. He was riding high in A tier last time, with insane ultimate damage and that awesome synergy with Groot's ultimate. It was a beautiful combo, honestly. But after that bug fix that made his ultimate easier to survive, things started going downhill for him. He still has his moments, and his Ankh can be useful in certain situations, but the high tier lobbies aren't giving him nearly as much love anymore. He's just not the powerhouse he once was, and that's a bit of a bummer. While we're talking about the meta, it's important to mention that some characters just can't keep up with the current powerhouses. If you've got a comp filled with triple support heroes or an overwhelming number of counters for these C tier picks, you're going to struggle. So while these characters might not be the worst in the game, they're certainly not leading the charge. That said, if you're looking to have some fun and experiment, there's still room for them to shine in the right circumstances. But hey, the balance changes are always around the corner, and that's what keeps things interesting. Maybe the next patch will give these C tier characters a chance to rise up and show what they're really made of. Until then, just know that picking any of these characters is a gamble. They've got potential, but you're probably going to need a bit of luck and some really solid gameplay to make the most of them. Keep experimenting, and who knows, you might just be the one to bring these guys back into the spotlight. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, Magic, Spider-Man, Squirrel Girl, The Punisher, Adam Warlock, Rocket Raccoon, and Jeff the Landshark. Alright, now let's dive into the real meat of this list, characters that are hanging out in the B tier. These are the heroes who aren't quite top tier contenders, but they're still definitely worth considering, especially if you know how to work with their strengths. So, buckle up, and let's talk about who's making waves and who's just chilling in the middle of the pack. First up, we've got Captain America. Now, if you remember back when he was in C tier, things were a little rough for the guy, but thanks to some solid buffs, Cap has really found his groove. His survivability is way up, he builds his ultimate faster, and let's not forget that iconic shield, it's a game changer. While Cap still thrives more in lower elo lobbies, he's no slouch in the right hands. If you've got a good feel for the flow of a fight, he can be a real asset. Then there's Thor. The God of Thunder is, well, a bit of a mystery in this meta. He's a powerhouse, sure, but he's in an awkward spot. Thor can dish out crazy damage and disrupt both frontline and backline enemies, but he still gets overshadowed by bigger names like Magneto or Groot. That said, if you're in a lower elo lobby and you're running him with Hela, Thor becomes an absolute beast. His raw power makes him tough to take down, so don't sleep on him, especially in those more casual games. Next, let's talk Iron Man. Iron Man's been through a lot of ups and downs, but with recent buffs, he's been given a second chance. His damage output is much more competitive now, even without relying on his Hulk team-up. However, despite those buffs, Iron Man still faces tough competition from heroes like Hela, Star-Lord, and Winter Soldier, who can shut him down. So, while he's definitely solid in some maps with good architecture, you'll have to think carefully about picking him when the competition is fierce. Now, I know some of you are Magic fans, and I feel you, her combos are deadly. She's got that elite brawl potential, especially when paired with the right team. But honestly, she just doesn't measure up to the S tier juggernauts. Magic is still a great pick on certain maps or against certain team comps, but in the grand scheme, there are better options. Don't get me wrong, she's not a bad choice, just not always the best. Let's shift gears to Spider-Man, who's been on the rise lately. Thanks to some buffs in the Season 1.5 patch, Spidey's stock has skyrocketed, especially when you're playing on console. His web cluster uptime has been extended, and that suit expulsion team up with Venom is a game changer. It's given Spidey a solid edge, especially when you're looking to dive into the backline. But if you're up against a strong triple support team or don't have Venom by your side, Spidey might not be the best pick for the job. Speaking of strong, let's talk about Squirrel Girl. She's in that weird spot where she's got decent burst damage and good crowd control, but she's not always the most consistent pick. Sure, she can be a menace in lower elo lobbies, and her ultimate can be a real headache, but getting those kills can sometimes feel like a coin toss. Still, if you're looking for someone who can bring the pain in a pinch, Squirrel Girl's your girl. Alright, now let's get to the Punisher. This guy has been a steady pick for a while, and there's a good reason for that. His damage output is reliable, and he's great for beginners thanks to his straightforward playstyle. He doesn't have the insane utility of some of the other duelists on this list, but he's not here to mess around either. Plus, his team up with Rocket really helps him step up his game, making him a solid pick for newer players still getting the hang of things. Last but not least, we've got Adam Warlock. Surprised to see him here? I get it, he's been a star in pro play. His passive, team-up abilities, and ultimate can keep the team alive longer than you'd think. And that soul bond ability is a game changer for survival. But in more casual, uncoordinated play, he's just not as impactful. If you're running a triple support comp or teaming up with Star-Lord and Mantis though, Adam can really shine. He's definitely a situational pick, but if you know what you're doing, he can make a huge difference. So there you have it, our B-tier heroes in Marvel Rivals. These characters might not be dominating the leaderboard, but with the right strategy, and a bit of practice, they can still pack a punch. Let me know which one of these heroes you love, or maybe which one you think deserves a bump up to A tier. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hulk, The Thing, Venom, Hawkeye, Psylocke, Storm, Cloak and Dagger, and Mantis. Let's talk about some of the most exciting characters in Marvel Rivals right now, and who's making waves in the A tier. You know, the ones that are right on the edge of being the best, but haven't quite cracked the S tier just yet. These champions are solid, reliable, and a whole lot of fun to play with. So, buckle up and let's dive right into it. First up, we've got Hulk. Now, Hulk might have taken a bit of a hit with the Season 1.5 patch, especially when it comes to his team-up anchor health bonus. He's not the same powerhouse he used to be, but don't write him off just yet. Hulk's still a beast on the field, he's a true vanguard, but these days, other tanks like Venom and The Thing tend to offer more bang for less effort. Venom's better in dive compositions, and The Thing just shines in brawls. Still, if you know how to play him well, Hulk can absolutely wreck the opposition, so don't forget about him. Speaking of The Thing, let's talk about why he's an absolute standout in the A tier. Some might even say he's knocking on the door of S tier. His Earthbound CC is a game changer, especially against certain duelists. He's also immune to Invisible Woman's pushes, and he works fantastically with Magneto when that synergy kicks in. However, be careful with Groot. If he slips through the bans, the Thing can have a tough time, but when everything lines up, the Thing can be downright unstoppable. Now, let's give Venom a moment in the spotlight because he's been bumped up to A tier and for a good reason. If you're all about that dive tank life, Venom is where it's at. With the right teammates, he can absolutely demolish enemy backlines. Plus, Magneto is like the perfect partner in crime for him, offering shields and enabling his relentless assaults. And with the recent patch changes, like the ultimate cost reduction and frenzied arrival knockback, Venom's staying power is looking better than ever. Hawkeye is another A tier gem, and you really can't ignore him right now. After some buffs in the mid-season patch, he's even more deadly than before. His crescent slash cooldown was reduced, and his ultimate now increases his bow draw speed, plus a damage boost. It's no wonder he's got a deadly one-shot potential. Now, I'll admit, he's still not quite as monstrous as Hela with her insane hit scan, but with Hela being a high priority ban, Hawkeye is definitely worth picking up in your team comp. Let's shift focus to Psylocke, one of those characters who's still holding on to her A tier spot despite some changes. The mid-season patch gave a little love to her psionic disc team-up with Magic, making her even more reliable in long fights. But strangely enough, her pick rate has been dipping a bit. Despite that, Psylocke is still a solid pick for dive-centric comps or even when you need to cut down tanks and take out low-health enemies. She's got that perfect blend of flexibility. Storm used to be an absolute monster at the start of Season 1, but after some nerfs, she's dropped a bit in overall usage. Her damage fall-off nerf and reduced personal damage amplification hurt, though her ally damage amplification did see a slight increase. Even with the nerfs, she's still a great pick in most ranks, but you might find her less popular as more people focus on the powerhouse trio of Hela, Winter Soldier, and the Punisher. Cloak and Dagger are another interesting case in A tier. They were absolute monsters at the start of the season, but the nerf to their ultimate really knocked them down a peg. The ultimate cost increase and shorter duration, plus the inability to stack their trails, left them in a bit of an awkward position. Despite that, there was still a pretty decent pick in triple support comps, or if you just need a versatile strategist for your team. So they're barely hanging on to that A tier, but they're definitely not as dominant as before. Lastly, we can't forget about Mantis. She had her moment in the spotlight back in Season 0, but after a nerf in Season 1, her movement speed took a hit, making it a lot easier for divers and flankers to get the drop on her. Even so, Mantis can still shine in triple support compositions, where her damage amplification can really help carry the team. And if you've got Adam Warlock on your side, you can set up some serious res plays with her Nature's Soul team up. So there you have it. A tier characters that are still making waves in Marvel Rivals and can bring some serious value to your team. Whether you're diving into the front lines with Venom or controlling the map with the Thing, these picks can be game changers when played well. What do you think? Any of these champions you are excited to try out in your next match? Let me know down in the comments. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Doctor Strange, Groot, Magneto, Hela, Namor, Star-Lord, Winter Soldier, Wolverine, An Invisible Woman, Loki, and Luna. Alright, let's talk about the absolute powerhouses in Marvel Rivals, the S-tier heroes that absolutely dominate the game. These characters aren't just strong, they're game changers that can carry you to victory, even in the most intense matches. From tanks to duelists, these heroes are always in the spotlight, and if you're not picking them or playing against them, you're probably at a serious disadvantage. First up, let's talk Doctor Strange. This guy has been a beast since Season 1. Sure, he got a slight nerf to his HP, but that ultimate of his still packs a punch. It can turn the tide of a match in seconds. His versatility is what really makes him stand out. Whether you're playing with or against him, Doctor Strange can pretty much hold his own in any situation. Pair him with the right team and he's still a top tier pick. I mean, come on. His ultimate is still a threat, even in the highest ranks. Then there's Groot. This leafy legend might not have received major changes, but let's be real, his carry potential is insane. That ultimate, total game changer. Pair it with Namor or Winter Soldier and you're looking at some serious damage. Groot's ability to control the battlefield with his Thornlash walls and isolate targets makes him a top tier tank. He's got the support and the muscle to really mess up any enemy team that doesn't have a good counter ready. Magneto, the master of magnets, has only gotten stronger since the start of the season. His nerfs to shield energy didn't hurt him nearly as much as we thought they would. If anything, those buffs to his primary fire make him an even better choice. What really sets Magneto apart though is his ability to enable his team. He's an amazing off-tank who can protect other heroes and even throw out some nasty projectiles to deal with enemy ultimates. He's one of those heroes who just gets better and better the more you use him. Healer, on the other hand, has always been a pick or ban duel machine. She's been wrecking squishies with her insane primary fire damage, and that's not changing anytime soon. Hela doesn't need much explanation. She can 2-tap any squishy hero and has mobility to boot. With her crowd control and ability to dominate in pretty much any situation, she's a terrifying pick in every game mode. Let's not forget about Neymar, who's been bumped up to S tier thanks to his synergy with Groot. That combo is lethal. His ultimate, Horn of Proteus, combined with Groot's devastating ultimate, can wipe out enemies in no time. Namor also thrives when paired with Lunar Snow for a dive composition, which makes him even more dangerous. His role in the meta has solidified, and he's a must pick if you want to create chaos. Star-Lord might not have been our top pick in the past, but after the mid-season buff, it's hard to ignore his power. The man is great at 1v1 duels and can tear down tanks from a distance. Thanks to Magneto's ability to protect him, Star-Lord can get even more out of his ultimate. If you've got a good Star-Lord on your team, expect some serious damage output. His rocket propulsion and blaster barrage combo could devastate opponents, and his survivability has only improved since that buff. Winter Soldier is another hero that's gained a lot of traction. With buffs to his health and ability to use his powers, he's become a beast in duels. His bionic hook can grab and eliminate anyone who's out of position, and his synergy with Groot is just chef's kiss. When Groot locks down enemies, Winter Soldier can step in and finish the job. This dynamic duo can tear apart any enemy lineup. And lastly, let's give a shout out to Invisible Woman. This strategist is still a top tier pick, and it's easy to see why. Her ultimate provides insane healing to teammates, and her push and pull mechanics make her a nightmare for divers. With just a slight ultimate nerf, she's still incredibly reliable for keeping your team alive while dishing out decent damage. Invisible Woman slots into almost any team composition, and she's one of the most consistent heroes in the game. These S-tier heroes are not just powerhouses, they're the foundation of top-tier teams. Whether you're looking to dominate in duels, control the battlefield, or carry your team through a tough match, these characters have got you covered. If you're not playing them, you're definitely going to feel the pain. So, get your hands on these heroes and start climbing the ranks. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.